free. Put one on Facebook. Second. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, just wait. I had to put myself onto not my own timeline. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put get to know. Ilse, is there anything you want me to write about your description on Facebook, like get to know Ilse and her work in Abu Dhabi? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Okay, great. Abby, not Abby, Abu. My niece is right.
Abu, yeah, not Abu, not Abu Dhabi. Yeah.
Yeah, my niece is named Abby, so it wrote Abby Dabby. Okay, 1 second. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and live.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're
Just wait. It's a blue thing going. Yes, here we go. Okay, great. Welcome everybody. We are now live on Facebook with Taryn in South Africa, me in Canada, and Ilse in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi. Sorry. There you go. Taryn, please go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, hi everyone. We're really happy to have Ilse joining us to chat about the work that she does in a clinic in Abu Dhabi. Ilse is a COPE graduate, so she's a member of CAPBT. And yeah, we really welcome. It's really great to have you, Ilse. And yeah, we're looking forward to hearing what you do. So first of all, you can just tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so as I have to read my name, but I graduated from COPE back in 2019 as a COPE in a COPE diploma capacity. And from there, I went on to do my CBCCKA, which is the canine behavior, the certified behavior canine consultant knowledge assess course from there. And I have been very fortunate to work in lovely places in South Africa. I used to run some training groups at Zimzala Canine Estate in Stellenbosch.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I also did some private sessions. I did one-to-one behavior and training consultations. I'm also a certified fear-free trainer. And then a couple of years ago, came to Abu Dhabi to work at a wonderful clinic, which is the German veterinary clinic run by Dr. Katrin Jan, who is also a veterinary behaviorist, and she's currently finishing off a specialization at both the European and the American colleges of veterinary behavior. So that is quite unique to work so closely with an actual veterinary behaviorist who, she and what is so amazing is working with her is she truly is we always say she's a psychiatrist of the companion animals, and I'm more of the therapist, seeing the clients day to day or week to week, taking them through the behavior modification, the coping mechanisms, the skills that they need. And she really looks at it from a completely medical and psychopharmaceutical point of view. So it's been really awesome to transition from being kind of more grounded in the positive reinforcement training, the clicker training, to something that is I've always dreamed of, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a wonderful opportunity. I mean, obviously, as behaviorists, we do get trained to a certain extent in psychopharmacology and understanding the brain and the medications that can be used to help behavior. But obviously, that's not something that we can actually do. We can only refer people to vets and say, look, I think you need to chat to your vet. So yeah, to work with a veterinary behaviorist, yeah, that's a really amazing opportunity to learn so much from them. And also that when you are dealing with clients, you have a vet to actually do that side of things, because it's not always easy to find somebody a vet who is happy or has the specific behavioral knowledge to be able to prescribe those things. So I know, I think in South Africa, veterinary behaviorists, there's a few of them. I know there's a couple in Cape Town, and I know there's 1 or 2 in Joburg as well, but they're quite a few and far between. So yeah, that's a really fantastic opportunity. What made you decide to make such a bold move and go to a completely different country? And then also it sounds like you're working in a German clinic, so that kind of brings another language into it. Do you speak German? I'm just interested in what made you decide to do all of that.
What's quite interesting with the journey to get to where I am is I actually via the connections that I made through COPE and Fear Free specifically, I was contacted by the clinic and they said, hey, we've got this position open, would you be interested? I didn't even know the position was open. I wasn't particularly necessarily looking for something. I did know in my gut that I wanted something more, I guess, than what the vets, because especially when I say this with a little bit of a disclaimer, at the time when I finished especially my Fear Free qualifications, this was back in 2019, I did approach quite a lot of vets in South Africa, and they weren't necessarily too keen on the idea. And I don't know how it's changed, but they weren't too keen on the idea of Fear Free and how to introduce cooperative care, because that's something that I myself have struggled. Have struggled with my own dogs, and it's something that I really strive towards. And I know that introducing cooperative care into their lives, and even just a fear-free clinic, has made such a difference to their diagnosis outcome, to pain assessment, to it just opened up a lot of different possibilities. Is I was contacted, and I had an amazing call with Dr. Catherine from the German vet. And in Abu Dhabi, what is quite interesting is Abu Dhabi is kind of weird in the sense of there's no like the Four Ways vet or the, name the suburb vet. It's all connected to nationality because it's a very large expat community. And Dr. Catherine Jan is German. She grew up in England, actually, when she was a little bit, I think, I stand the correction, I think she moved when she was about 4 or 5 years old. Doesn't matter. Point is, she is she is German, of course, but that doesn't mean that our clinic caters for the German folk. It just means that it is, we've got, for example, there's an American vet, a British vet, an Australian vet, a Canadian vet. However, what does make the German veterinary clinic so different from all of the others is that we are the first gold standard ISFM cat-friendly clinic. We are the first fear-free clinic. So every single person, from the receptionists to the cleaners to the management team, are fear-free certified. We all have to go through it. The way that what's amazing is the way that the clinic is set up is literally it's like a dance, like when it's literally planned so that dogs go to one side of the clinic. We literally only have consultation rooms for only dogs and consultation rooms only for cats. We are absolutely, and then also we do exotics. So exotics here, yes, I know on TikTok and all those things, you look at Abu Dhabi and Dubai and you think, oh, tigers and lions and bears, huzzah. Yes, but we don't do that. We stick with the legal limit of exotics, which are your turtles, your rabbits, your guinea pigs, your, I already said rabbits. But anyway, so we've got an exotics room specifically. So everything is catered for the species because we know how pheromones affect situations. We know how pathways affect situations. So if I walk in with my dog and I take them into a consult room where there was a cat and my dog might be cat reactive, although they've cleaned it with F10 and all of that, we know that's not going to necessarily do the trick, right? So what is so incredible about German veterinary clinic, it is absolutely catered per species. So we have dog-only consults, cat-only consult rooms, exotic-only consult rooms. The way that it's plotted and planned, the pathways we take, we've got a back way for the dogs, we've got a separate way for the cats. It's something that I have personally never seen in South Africa, and it takes fear-free, at least coming from a South African standpoint, to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds incredible, and it sounds like a dream veterinary practice for everybody to be able to go to. So yeah, I mean, that's and so what is your role specifically in the practice?
So what I love about my role is I have a very defined role in the sense of my primary role is working with Dr. Catherine with her behavior patients. So she, as I said before, she is the psychiatrist. We see behavior patients together. I do the behavior modification side of things. So that is where my training with COPE and my training with CCKA comes in the sense of looking at what is the behavior plan. Are we using pattern games? Are we using, and I mean, it varies. As we know, every single individual is different. So I'm the therapist in that aspect. When I'm not doing that, when I'm not physically in a consultation where I'm either with Dr. Catherine or I'm seeing the clients after they've seen her and myself, and there's been a diagnosis made, then I am also doing puppy life skills classes. So for the puppies, unfortunately in Abu Dhabi, we don't have the kind of what to me was quite shocking when I came here, and I say shocking kind of loosely, is in South Africa, I would have puppy classes with like 10 puppies in a field, right? Here, the puppies their critical socialization window is really, they either came from other countries in a crate on a plane, way too young, they miss out on their weaning period, or we don't have any responsible breeders here even to think of. So just kind of think of your typical breeder as a backyard breeder. We still have, unfortunately, here you go into your average pet shop as if you would go to the mall to a pet shop, and they would still have cages with puppies and kittens, and there's no mother in sight. You don't even know the age. So unfortunately, from a behavioral resilience standpoint, it is quite difficult. On top of that, 8 months out of the year is practically impossible to be outside because of the heat, and not just the heat, the actual humidity. So it is quite a harsh place. So what I had to do, or what we had to do when I started the puppy life skills, was really about looking at what does the family need from a puppy. So it's very much focused on what are the family needs, what is the welfare of, because I think, we know that any outcome is reliant on not only what is best for, obviously, number one prize is what is best for the patient, but it also has to be realistic and manageable for the family. So how do we adjust? Does it mean we walk at different times? Does it mean we have to work in a lot of calm work? A lot of what I do is enrichment. So whether it is sensory enrichment, foraging enrichment, a lot of it has got to do with that. And it's challenging, but it is really, really lovely to see when people love. At the end of the day, regardless of who comes to you, you know that they inherently love their pet. They know that they inherently love their cat or dog, and they just want the best for them. And all we can do is really show them the way and reiterate what would be best for the patient and for them, and encourage them, and also positively reinforce them when they do get it right.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds quite amazing. And you say very challenging, because it must be quite an adjustment when, I mean, obviously, especially coming from a country like South Africa, where we spend so much of our lives outdoors and we have so many opportunities outdoors for animals, and then to go to an environment where those opportunities don't exist because of the temperatures and things like that, or it's much more limited. And I mean, it is also quite something to think about, somewhere where there's no, I'm assuming there's no such thing as a kennel union or anything like that. So there's no sort of oversight of breeders or anything. I mean, not that that necessarily means anything. We know that regardless of that, in any country, you're still going to have backyard breeders and that kind of thing. But it must have been quite an adjustment, but it sounds as though you're also absolutely loving it, and really finding it very rewarding, which is fantastic.
I must say, it is extremely challenging. There are days where I sigh very deeply, and I do miss, and not for myself, I think for my own boys, because I think that is also quite something that is I think quite key is my two boys from South Africa who grew up there. They have their own behavioral problems, but I lived in Vredehoek. I lived on the foot of Table Mountain. I could take them on Lion's Head every day, and I did. And here it is so restricting, and it is honestly, Taryn, there are days it is absolutely heartbreaking. But I have to remind myself, and it brings me back to the amazing, work when it actually comes to welfare is, at the end of the day, what is important to my dogs? They were socialized to be with people, and they want to be with me. I mean, for example, I moved to Abu Dhabi three months before they joined me. They were with my ex-husband at that stage. And they went through stages where, yes, they can still go into parks and they can still do all their things, but they wouldn't eat. They would be, kind of depressed and down. And that just again highlights that fact of when we look at welfare for animals, what is it actually about? Is it just purely the in the moment thing, or is it and again, it comes down to the individual. I pine for my dogs because I know they would love to run outside. And yes, when they are running outside, of course they would. But, the times that they're not running outside, they'll probably miss me.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. I mean, even here, often when animals are looking for a home, often on the sort of advert, it says they need a big property or a big garden. And I always think, I mean, I've got two big active dogs, but they spend 90% of their lives next to me. I mean, right now, Cruz has come upstairs. He's lying here with his ball. Primrose has just come upstairs and decided to destroy some of my husband's documents, which he's going to be thrilled about later. But yeah, I mean, they are where we are. And it's as you say, they have been built really to be with people. And once they form that bond, we've often said, even if we lived in a place with no garden, the dogs would rather be with us than, obviously, yes, you've got to find ways to meet their needs, and it's really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's about it's that connection and that relationship, which is a huge part of their emotional well-being. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just did
to make their welfare doesn't just boil down to the yard or what they can sniff or whatever. It is looking at and everything we do, being COPE qualified, and as we know with COPE, Jörg Panksepp is our main guy, and everything that I do, regardless of whether I'm working with a vet in a consult, where it is we have to give an injection to this dog, whether I'm teaching a puppy to just follow their owner, whether it is a muzzle training course, whether it is crate training for travel, because we've got a big transport, we actually have a whole relocation department attached to the clinic where I do a lot of work with crate familiarization. Everything fundamentally boils down to, it's not what the animal does, it's how does the animal feel when they are doing it.
Yeah. So yeah, for those maybe who watching and listening and who don't know who Jörg Panksepp was, he was just thought I'd just explain a little bit because it's so valuable. He was a neuroscientist who came up with a theory that there are 7 emotional systems, and that those emotional systems are sort of across the board from mice to humans. And they really drive behavior in the sense that, everything we do is driven by how we feel, whether it's a dog or whether it's a cat or whether it's a turtle or a human. We actually all experience, these feelings, and those feelings drive us to do things. So, feelings of, if we feel lonely, we will, as a human being, we will try and make contact with a person or with an animal. Or we have the option of sort of going on Facebook or WhatsApping somebody as well, because we have other ways of making connections too. And for dogs, if they're, lonely, we are such an important thing to fulfill that need of that social attachment and things like that. And so, yeah, just by way of explaining, as you just said, Ilse, everything is about, it's not just what the animal is doing, it's how is the animal feeling when they're doing that. Because we tend to look at behavior in a bit of a vacuum and think, well, we don't want this behavior, so we're going to change that behavior. But if we don't understand why they're doing the behavior, what that emotional need is, because every behavior is designed to fulfill an emotional need. And if we don't understand that, then we're often ignoring those needs. And by ignoring those needs, we're never going to be able to really help the animal. So yeah, it's great that you're able to use that.
And similarly, even if an animal does a behavior that we think is adequate or we think is okay, like, I see it in because a very, very big part of when I'm not, as I said to you, when I'm not, teaching my puppy life skills or doing the behavior consultations or training. Again, when I say training, it's not, obedience training. When I'm working with animals for life skills, a very big part of my job is literally in the clinic with the vets in consults and guiding the vets and guiding the veterinary nurses and the vet techs to say, okay, is this dog? And again, it's not a training thing. It's a body language thing. It's an emotional thing. Is this dog going to be okay with us doing an injection? Because remember, we fear free. And again, fear free is what we mean by fear free is the second we see that this animal, when this person's pet is not okay with what we want to do with them, we literally say to the client, come back another time. We will give you
Okay.
pre-visit medication. We will help you with cooperative care. We are not going to pin your dog down. We're not going to scruff your cat. We're not going to crush cage your cat. We don't do that. And that is, again, something so unique, at least from a South African standpoint. But even in even in those moments, it's about, okay, so the behavior is the dog will go on the scale. Fine, looks fine. But when I actually truly observe what the dog is doing, I can see this dog is shutting down. This dog is going into freeze. This dog is going into absolute hazard avoidance behavior, like kill me now. And that's not okay either. So although the dog or cat or might be doing the behavior, it's not about the doing the behavior. Is what is the dog or the cat feeling when they're doing the behavior, and when the feeling isn't right. So if I ask my dog to sit and they lick their lips and their ears are pinned down and they give me wail out and their tail is tucked, great, they did a sit, but did they actually do a good sit? No, they didn't. They did a petrified sit, and that's not okay.
Yeah. So that's the thing with fear-free. I'm also fear-free certified, where when you're handling a cat, and they're starting to struggle, you wait for 2 seconds, see what they're doing. And if they struggle for more than 2 seconds, you stop, reassess, and then from there you determine what you're going to take. With the dog, is 3 seconds. And that's been a huge thing for my own animals who have behavioral issues, and is knowing, okay, if I try to do their nails and they struggle for more than 2 seconds, well, in my brain, I'm like, okay, get the nails done. But then I'm like, no, they struggled for more than 2 seconds. Stop. Try again. If they're not able to do it, then we're going to have to go backwards and introduce cooperative care again.
And what's so amazing there, Ruby, with, for example, nail trim. So with my dogs, I actually do Dremel, because unfortunately, as much as I would love to say I can clip my own dog's nails, I can't. They have black nails. I've unfortunately nicked too many quicks. It is very unfortunate. However, I do use a Dremel. What I do, though, is I actually use a cooperative care technique where I count down. So it's like a pattern game. So I create predictability. So I told them that if I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I let go. After 1, the second you hear 1, I'm going to let go. I'm going to wait until you tell me you're okay, right? That, however, means that I might Dremel only 2 nails a night. And then again, but I think what is so interesting to see once you kind of introduce these welfare ideas and how we do things to pet owners is they see I think a core piece lies in body language and how they read their pets. Cats similarly is, yes, we're going to only do 2 nails, but your dog is still happy. Your dog is still feeling okay. Like, why push it to a point where your dog's going to go, and then you have to over again. And again, it's like it's building it into, I think, a big part of welfare and how we do things is building it into people's routines. I always say the main training in my house happens in the kitchen, because I'm always waiting in the kitchen. I'm waiting for the kettle to boil the water. I'm waiting for the rice to cook. I'm waiting for the boiler to heat. Even if it's 2 minutes, that's when the magic happens, right? That's like where I think, unfortunately, a lot of times, pet owners kind of go, I'm faced with this behavior modification plan and this training plan, and oh my God, I have to do all this stuff. And it's like, okay, cool. I know that when I started out was kind of, you'll like ask the pet owner, like, realistically, how much time a day do you think you can do training? And they'll say an hour. And I'm like, where? And they go, what do you mean? I'm like, no, like where is that hour? Like, you just told me you've got an hour worth of training. Like, where is that? Oh, between the time I come home and before I go to bed. I'm like, that's like 5 hours. So where within those 5 hours is your hour of training happening? And they go, I don't know. I'm like, well, it's not about a conducive hour. It's, do you have, and I've actually changed the language I use with pet owners is, do you have, I'll literally ask them, do you have, actually, my first question is, are you a tea drinker or a coffee drinker? And they go, coffee drinker. I'm like, percolator or et cetera, espresso. And from there, you start breaking it down and you start finding these tiny little moments where you consciously start planting the seeds of where you can do training. Because I think
that's a really good idea.
There's a big barrier to entry when it comes to doing anything with our pets is this thing of, oh my God, I need to put time aside for my dog. And it's like, do you drink coffee? Yes. How do you drink coffee? Percolator. How long does your percolator take? 5 minutes. What do you do during those 5 minutes? Don't know. Do you think you can maybe play like these 2 games with your dog during that time? Oh, yeah, I could totally do that. Great. There's your dog's breakfast. Huzzah. Because again, we also want to ban the bowl. We want to, get rid of, so we kind of hitting a bunch of stuff. And it really is about, I guess, for me at least, it really is about making it. I want my clients to work smarter so that they don't have to work harder for the patient.
Mary has a question.
They work harder.
Sorry.
That's a problem.
Sorry. The lovely Mary, she's also an ICAN member. She has a question on the live where she says, have any of you advised clients or with your own dogs use nail boards where they are trained to do their own nails?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God. Absolutely. Absolutely. Front nails. For me, at least the front nails, because I find they take longer to wear down. Absolutely. Back nails are slightly more difficult, so you're gonna have to teach them to step up and then kick back. But a lot of my patients do that because at least it's the way I see it is it's 2 paws you don't have to worry about cooperative care wise, right? And I think the main thing with the nail board is, just teach them a really solid wipe. Well, initially teach them a paw target, teach them to target, hold out, get them to get that tiny bit of frustration to scratch, click that, mark that, reward that. The amazing thing is it costs nothing, to be honest. You just get a clipboard with some sandpaper. The nice thing is you can also tilt it depending on your dog's nails. Back nails,
A bit harder.
slightly different story because it is a bit more difficult, but at least you've got 2 paws that you don't have to worry about.
Yeah. No, have you done it with your dogs, Taryn?
No, I haven't, but I was just going to say, I've been pretty lucky with our dogs with the nail trimming, that they've all we've done it very gradually, very slowly, and they've been okay with it. So we've never had an issue, but it's something that so many clients of mine do have an issue with. And we can so easily teach, right from puppy class, we teach paw targeting. Yeah. So it's such an easy thing to teach them to do. That it's not difficult. So I think it is a great answer. And my very good friend and colleague who helps me with my training school, and she's been doing it with her young Labrador, from the time he's little. She's been teaching him that. So yeah, it's been a great option.
Yeah, if you can teach your dog to shake a paw, you can teach your dog to do a nail board.
Yeah, in essence, yeah. Exactly, absolutely. Yeah. I think the only thing to bear in mind there, though, caveat, little tiny disclaimer, is when it comes to the due clause, because the due clause are not going to hit the nail board, is with the due clause, I would recommend, from puppyhood, or if they're already a little bit aversive, maybe just, you don't have to use especially when the nails are black. Like I said, with my boys, I get a little bit apprehensive with black nails just because of my own personal experience. But get a dog, like a little Dremel, like a little Dremel,
Yeah.
or even just when they do their nails, they're like little scratchies. Again, introduce the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with just the same substrate, the same sandpaper. Again, keep it really basic, keep it really like short and sweet, because unfortunately those are the ones that if they do have them, they can get quite nasty, i.e., kind of growing in. So but definitely the nail boards are loving.
You can also like teach it, like filing your own nails. You can file your dog's dew claw.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's one thing that people don't think about, is like, give your dog like a little massage with their paws, and like, oh, this is great. It's like a spa for your dog's paws when they're doing the filing.
I honestly think grooming on any, and when I say grooming, I'm not a big, this might be controversial, I'm not a big believer of having to bathe your dogs. I'm quite anti-bathing, which I think most people should be. But anyway, but I brush them. I've got a German Shepherd cross, and I live in the desert, so you can imagine the amount of dust and stuff that I have. But I do see it as, what is so amazing about it is, it's not just a spa day. It's not just a moment where I'm really truly connecting with my dog. I'm being very calm with them. I'm honestly just having a true connection. I am also doing my own diagnostics. I can go, oh, there's a little bump there. Didn't notice that. Okay. 2 weeks later, ooh, I know thing's a little bit bigger. Oh, it's smaller.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah, it is. I was like, my
sorry, Darren. Yeah.
No, it's fine. No, my vet always laughs at me because I bring one of my dogs in and I'm saying, could you just have a look at this lump? And she's like, how did you even find that? Because I think it's like, because I'm always have my hands on them and I'm always, checking them and brushing them, and they're also affectionate, and so you find these things.
So important. And it's not just the lumps, it's literally like, I will groom Rocco. I will just brush him. When I say groom, I'm not like washing, I'm just literally brushing him. And I'll go, your skin is a bit darker here. I'm going to take a photo. And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, ooh, it's even darker. I tell my vet and I go, hey, this is what happened. And the vet now, instead of them having to try and run a gazillion diagnostics with no benchmark, and this is also why I'm honestly extremely, extremely pro. The second your dog is 2 years old, get a full pain study. So at our veterinary clinic, what a full pain study is essentially x-rays of hips, spine, tail, elbows. Your dog is 2 years old, their cartilage is settled, all of it is settled. Doesn't matter what breed your dog is, doesn't matter their predisposition. If 2-3 years later there is some pain and they take x-rays again, they can say, oh my hat, there's actually hip dysplasia because it moved half a centimeter. Because a lot of misdiagnoses happen is because dogs do not, vets do not have a benchmark of your dog, dog.
It's always so difficult because so often with behavioral stuff, we know that, especially fearfulness, anxiety, aggression is often so linked to pain. And so we often see as trainers or behaviorists, we see changes in the dogs that we work with, or we have a new client who say, we can see there's something that's a little bit off with the dog's emotional state, and we're concerned there could be a pain issue. But it is so difficult, as you say, if the vet has never seen that dog before or hasn't got anything to compare it to, for them to pinpoint what's going on. Whereas, I've never thought about that way, that if you actually have a baseline, you have some baseline tests that you can now compare.
I mean, for me, it is the best thing. Take it take the full pain study, and what I mean with the pain study is, like I said, it's a full X-ray, hips, spine, elbows, that they can actually look at what the osteoarthritis is like. Is it once the bones are actually there, in the sense of like not anymore. So that I had it with one of my boys where thank goodness I don't even know how I had the foresight to do it. I just did it because I think at the time Rocco had it done, my older boy had it done. I was like, just do it with Bentley. And then we actually had a comparison. So we could actually say, okay, what is the potential progression? Is this actually something we should be worried about? Is this, because we know with osteoarthritis, once it's there, it's there. It's, you can only treat the symptoms. And if you can already see there might be a predisposition, or you can see, okay, within the past 2-3 years, this is the shift that has been, this is what we need to do. You can speak to your physio, you can get the right supplements, you can get the right pain management. And we know, like Taryn, it is so vital in the work that I do, and the work that I do with Dr. Catherine, especially, is we cannot have any form of successful prognosis, or any prognosis, to be fair, or until we have a full medical, are there medically, can we rule out anything that could potentially affect the behavior? Because even if it is a gastrosensitivity, it will affect behavior. If it's a dermatitis, and we know this. But it is one thing to say we know this, but when you're actually working, and this is something that I find really has been quite incredible, is where I'm working now is I know all of those things have been ruled out. So when things fail or things aren't working and I have to rethink my behavior modification plan, I can't go, oh, but maybe it's gastro. I'm like, okay, I know it's not gastro. I know it's not pain. No, shit, I need to okay, what is actually what in this dog's life right now is causing this reaction? What is the reinforcement? What is lacking in this dog's life?
I'm sorry to be
incredible.
I'm sorry to be a bit of a bummer, but we've been chatting.
Time's up. I know. I can talk for days. I know.
Yeah, we've been chatting for 40 minutes, and I think that's we can talk for an hour, but I have to get back to work, and you ladies need to have your dinner because it is 5:30 p.m. at your side, right?
My side, your side, yes.
Well, my side is 10:30. I think your side is 5:30.
My side is 6:30.
My side is 8:30.
Oh, well, there we go. So we're all completely different.
Well, then you need to have dinner, and you need to also then have a drink or whatever you want to do. Whatever.
I need to probably check that my friend's cats are still alive.
Yeah, I heard them meowing, so I think they're still about.
No, I know. I think it's more frustration than anything else.
Yeah,
but yeah.
My cats are thankfully sleeping. I always make sure before I do any webinars or anything that I feed them, so then they're in a food coma, or else they will be involved. And anyway, so I want to say thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate this. And thank you so much for being an ICAN member. We are so happy to have you.
And I love being part of ICAN because every single time what I love about it is I am reminded that at the end of the day, it is about welfare first, always. Yeah. And always, no matter what we do, no matter where we are, it's about what we can do for the animals and their owners.
And we really appreciate that. I think that's a good place to end. So thank you, Taryn, for being, just so people don't obviously know, Taryn and I both are the coordinators, and thank you for taking time out of your day, and I really appreciate this. And we'll post it onto YouTube, and we'll put the link in the group a bit later today because I have to get some tasks done. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Ruby.
Okay. Can everybody just wait 1 second? Just wait.